Hello everyone. In this video, let's talk about two terms that you might hear in the context of streaming applications. The two terms that have gathered a lot of interest in the past couple years started with Lambda architecture, and then within the past year or so, you might hear the term Kappa architecture. Now, what do I mean by Lambda architecture? Lambda architecture is when you want to do, of course, real-time processing of events that come into your data pipeline. The way they architect this system is by having two parallel data processing paths. The first processing path would use a stream event processing system, kind of like Storm that we've talked about before. Other engines are out there. You can talk about, Samza, Flink, whatever. Then on the parallel path, you have the batch processing system. In this case, for example, we have Hadoop. Now, why do we want Lambda architecture? The reason that people do Lambda architecture is because things in a computer system fail all the time. As we discussed this in previous modules when we were discussing about MapReduce and Hadoop and Yarn and these things, batch processing can handle failures just fine. Now, of course, this is an oversimplification. There are many different failure models, but batch processing is designed around this whole idea. I have a batch of data to process. If my machines fail, something in the distributed system goes wrong, there is a missing heartbeat at some point, I figure out, I restart the computation, things will work out fine. The issue with streaming systems is that the nature of events that come into the system. An event comes in, it's supposed to be processed. What happens if there is a failure? The event is gone, right? So you have to do something about it. Lambda architecture is one attempt at fixing this issue. They say, okay, achieving fault tolerance reliability in my streaming system is hard. I'll let things happen. I have my batch processing pipeline in the back as a backup. Every 24 hours, once a day, I synchronize the data, the models, the state between the batch processing system and the streaming system. So that's one architecture that has been that has had a lot of interest starting about 3, maybe 4 years ago, and it gained a lot of popularity. A lot of enterprises have their systems architected as Lambda architecture pipelines. You have your batch processing and streaming processing, and every once a day they synchronize to each other. Now, a more recent term that you might have heard is Kappa architecture. Now, the whole idea of Kappa architecture is let's try to fix the streaming pipeline to a point that it can handle failures. In Kappa architecture, they try to get away from the two parallel paths, batch and streaming, and they just do the streaming, but they try to do streaming good enough so that if there are failures, the state doesn't get messed up, right? So in the next video, I will talk about Spark streaming. Spark streaming tries to provide some features that gets you closer to that holy grail of Kappa architecture, which is one data processing pipeline that is handling real-time events and tries to do a good job with the state. It's not completely there yet, as we will see in Spark streaming. It has its issues, and I'll leave that to that video.